Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vanlife and Chill. My name is Forrest Stevens. I'm your host, and today I'm talking with Rebekah and Connor. And they have a Ford shuttle bus, which they keep stealth because it still has an old wrap on it. And they were actually inspired by YouTube van tours to sort of seek out this lifestyle and participate in it. And in this podcast, we have a lot of information about insulation, and they tell us about their DIY build and a lot of stories and interesting fun times from the road. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and thanks for watching.
We're the Binghams. I'm Rebekah, and this is Connor. And we've been renovating our bus for about a year now. We bought it last January, and we hope to travel in it full time starting this year. At some point, we're thinking over the summer we'll probably start living in it full time and traveling. So we're really excited. We've done a couple trips in it, but never full time, so it'll be great.
And what got you originally inspired to start building out this? Because it's like a shuttle bus, right?
It is, yeah. So it's a Ford shuttle bus. So we were actually just kind of laying in bed last Christmas, and we had randomly gotten on the YouTube channel and started going down the rabbit hole of seeing all of everyone else's bus conversions or van conversions, and we started to say, man, that would be really cool. We should do that. Let's buy a bus or a van and let's start traveling. And so that's kind of where it started. And then, it was more kind of on a whim, but within about a month, we ended up coming across this bus and we're like, should we do it? And, we both agreed. And so we kind of moved forward at that point.
Yeah, we'd been looking for vans or buses. It was kind of just looking for something that was probably easy to renovate. We didn't want something with a lot of shelving in it. Like some of the vans have shelves, and we wanted something that we could stand up in. And this was just the right price too. We found this on Facebook Marketplace for like $6,000, and we were like, "That's good for us." Some of the vans, they get super expensive, so this was perfect. So
Nice. And so was it empty when you got it, and what have you done to it with your conversion?
Yeah, so when we got it, it did have all the bus seats and stuff still in it. So it was like a normal shuttle bus that they were using to take patients around in. And so we did have to do quite a bit. I mean, all of the seating when we first started with it, it was kind of rusted in almost. And so we couldn't just unscrew it. We almost had to take an angle grinder to most of them and cut them out. And so that was quite a bit of work to actually get it to the point where we could then start building it up. So that's really kind of where we started, just from scratch, and then to where we are today. Still a lot we need to finish, but we're getting closer. So
yeah, so after the seats, we really wanted to have good insulation. So that was like the main thing for us. Connor worked in insulation for a while, so he kind of knew what he wanted. And we used what's that silver stuff? Like the silver reflective insulation as like a first layer, and then we used fiberglass actually everywhere else. I think we even used fiberglass on the floor. And then just built up walls over the insulation. We put in cabinets, a counter space with cabinets underneath, and a really long counter that can flip up. We have our bed in here, which Connor built the frame himself. And we have a sink. We are working on the plumbing before we take off this summer full time. We want to make sure that our shower and our sink have good plumbing and we get hot water. For now, like, we have a shower pan in here, but it's not set up yet with the water. So
we've got the solar on top.
I forgot the solar.
Yeah, that's what we run everything off of. So you've got your lights and stuff that run off of the solar, and you can run some of the heat off of the solar. And so that's kind of all under the bed, most of that stuff. So the batteries and everything else is under the bed. We also have a fan here so that, in the summertime we can run that if we need to pull some of the heat out, or if we're cooking or anything like that. So we've got that set up as well.
Interesting. Okay, so fiberglass insulation is a bit of a different choice than what I've seen in a lot of van builds. A lot of people will pick foam board or spray foam. Maybe you can talk to me, having worked in insulation, why did you choose the insulation that you did?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in parts of it, we actually did use the foam board. So, like ceiling and some of the other areas, we actually did go with foam board. just because I think that's going to be a little bit better when it comes to the moisture and things like that. But in some of the walls, it didn't make much of a difference, as well as the floors to put in some fiberglass. I wasn't too worried about the moisture there, just where heat and stuff rises, and so that wasn't too much of a concern there. And we do have, some vapor barriers on both sides of it to also prevent that as well, so that you're not getting any molding or moisture buildup, anything like that. And so that's kind of why we chose to go with that.
And I learned a little bit about insulation too. For him, he was just like, his main thing was finding the highest R value we could. That was like the one thing he told me. It's kind of simple. He's like, we want the highest R value, and for the floor especially, we're kind of short people, so we were able to fit a lot of thick fiberglass. Whereas maybe people, if they're taller, they may want the foam board or they may want the spray and stuff, because then they don't lose as much height. But we didn't need that. That wasn't an issue for us. So we wanted just the highest R value we could find, which was in the fiberglass.
Cost is also, something you have to consider with doing it. I think if cost was never an issue, I think the spray and foam stuff would probably be the best way to go for just all around. But that's a little bit more expensive if you're looking to go that route.
Yeah, of course, and it makes sense. You also went the DIY route. Was that because of cost as well, or because of wanting to customize? Or maybe just tell me a little bit about why you chose the DIY route.
I think mostly just mostly for fun, mostly just so that we could do it and kind of have the experience of doing it. I think that's kind of the biggest part. Cost does also play into it, but I don't think that was the bigger concern for us. It was mostly just so that we could do it, and it was more of a project that we could work on and kind of learn from. And I think we learned quite a bit from it. I think no one gets to the end without thinking, oh, I could probably do this different next time, or I would do this. And so you always learn things along the way, which is good. So
what do you think what would be some advice that you would give to somebody, or maybe to you a little while ago when you started this build? What would be some things that you would maybe want to know prior to building out something like you did?
I'm really glad, like I've said, that we insulated really well. I think it makes all the difference. Like, the heat stays in really well. We haven't used it in the summer yet to know, but like in the winter, we just turn our heaters on and we're nice and cozy in here, which is great. Some things that we would change.
Just one quick little interlude. What is your heat source?
So we've got a couple of different heat sources. So we actually have a little electric ones that we can kind of plug into the outlets if we want and run those off of the solar. If we really want to kind of warm things up quickly, like we just traveled to Bryce Canyon and a few other places this past Christmas, and it was below zero, so it was pretty cold. We did end up using one of our little small propane heaters, so it's like the portable buddy is what it's called, and it just runs off of one of the small little green propane cans that you guys can get from Walmart or some sporting goods store, and it warms the bus right up within probably 10-15 minutes. So if you really wanted it to be warm, you could. While we're running the bus as well, you obviously have all those heaters that you could turn on just from the bus, and that would keep it pretty warm. And we've got a door that you can close, so really if you want to keep it warm back here and you don't care about the front of the bus, then you can just kind of shut it off and warm this part of the bus up and not worry about the front part.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, back to that advice question. Do you have any words of advice for anybody interested in building out their own van?
I think a big part is just making sure that you know exactly what you want, like the layout of it, and maybe having planned the layout of it beforehand. So I think some of it we kind of made up along as we went, and that it ended up working out for us. But I think there's definitely things that we would have changed if we'd kind of planned it a little bit better to begin with. And so that's really the big thing, is just kind of deciding beforehand what you want and where you want to put it, and then making sure that all those measurements work out. So what's the old saying? They say that you should measure twice and cut once. So it's good advice.
My next question is just to try to get to know you both a little bit more personally. I mean, I find it very interesting, the types of people, the different types of people that end up choosing this lifestyle. I would love to know about both of your backgrounds, maybe a little bit about your upbringing, if you can go back to that a little bit.
Sure. So, yeah, so we decided to build this bus, obviously, in the heart of COVID. So, I'm actually in law school, and this is my last semester. So, when we bought the bus, though, we were remote with COVID. And so I was like, well, we can travel anywhere we want. School's not tying me down. So, it was a great time for us to buy. And now that I'm graduating, I feel like I'll have that flexibility again. And I grew up in Texas, and we live in Utah right now. It's kind of where we're based, just because I'm in law school out here in Utah. So yeah, that's about me.
Yeah, and then for me, I've been graduated for a while, so I've just been working. And the nice thing I think about COVID is it allowed people to see that you can work remote. And so, I've been working remote quite a bit. I did recently switch jobs though, and that's a little bit more in person. Although I still do get to work quite a bit remote if I need to, but I can go into the office whenever needed. But that's kind of the nice thing, is that flexibility to have a choice of when you need to be in and when you can work remote. And so that's really one of the big things. I grew up in Idaho, so as kind of it came from a small farm town, and so I've always enjoyed the outdoors and the hiking, and you grew up doing a lot of the camping and the scouts and things like that. And so that's something that I've always enjoyed. And so that's, it's just nice to be able to get out and do those things. And we enjoy doing a lot of those things. And so that's, kind of the nice thing, is you get to go to places that you get to do activities together. And that's kind of like our shared hobbies, which is really nice. We have our own individual hobbies that we like to do as well, but that's kind of nice that we have things that unite us and that we like to do together. And so that's the real nice thing about the bus.
That's one thing anybody can choose van life and anyone can be kind of successful or happy in it. But one of the kind of underlying things is this, that I always say is, if you like camping, you'll probably like van life. And, you mentioned camping there, Connor, but Rebekah, did you grow up camping at all or enjoy camping prior to this?
Yes, yeah. No, we camped a lot growing up, and I have 4 brothers, which I feel like that means I got out more and I was fishing with them, and doing like just outdoorsy things, having to rough it a little bit. I hope this is still true, but when we got married, Connor would always tell people that I was pretty low maintenance, which I think you definitely need to be. For our first trip, we were without a toilet, which as a girl, that's not, I mean, it's easy as a guy. I'm jealous. But as a girl, it's like less comfortable. And, but, you just make it work, and we had a great time.
And on that topic, so tell me a little bit about your toilet situation. And the other question, of course, is the showers. What do you do for showers? Yeah. What's your setup like?
We just found a toilet at Walmart, and they sell it on Amazon too. It's just like a portable toilet. It folds up. You can just store it under the bed or in a cabinet or whatever. Take it out when you need it. But it comes with like, or you buy toilet bags for it. And so there's like a bag that you do your business in, and then it folds into another bag that you just zip up and throw away. So it's like you never see anything because it just folds into the other bag, and it's super easy, super convenient. We still pee and poop a lot in public, but this is great for the middle of the night, because like he said, it was like 5 degrees when we were in Bryce Canyon, and I had to get out one night and go to the restroom out in the middle of nowhere, and it was cold and dark. And so after that, I was like, we at least need something to have in the bus, and it's super easy.
Yeah. Yeah, the nice thing about it too is it is really simple. We had looked at some of the compostable toilets, and we really just weren't sold on the idea of it, just because we heard from a lot of people that it still stunk a lot in their vans, or they had problems with that, or it was just harder to change or more expensive. And so this was really a cheap, kind of low cost option that really works. And as soon as you're done, if you want to change the bag, you can put it away and throw it out, and then it's gone, and you just put in a new bag. And I mean, the whole process takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes is all. And so it's really quick, really simple. and very inexpensive. And so for us, it just seemed like it was a really good option.
Yeah, it sounds like a good option for sure. And yeah, what about the showers? What do you do for showers?
While we've been traveling, we've tried to find gyms, which I thought gyms was like just a part of life and everywhere in the world had a gym, but it's actually been very hard to find gyms that have showers. Sometimes you'll find a gym and they don't have a shower. So we just use truck stops and gyms whenever we find them. We also bought like just some big body wipes. Like I said, pretty low maintenance for now, but it is a priority for us to finish the shower before we're in the van full time, because we really love to work out every morning, and for me, I like to shower right after I work out. So it was kind of like, oh, when should I work out, because I don't know when I'm going to be near a shower next. So it's a priority for us to finish our shower.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I found you on Instagram, and Rebekah, I've checked out your Instagram account, and Connor, I haven't seen yours or anything, but it looked to me like you had done a lot of traveling and a lot of international traveling, and then there was a time when, more recently, when you got the van and you started doing that. And I'm curious, and I've talked to other people where this is the case, but is that because of the ease of domestic travel compared to international travel because of the pandemic?
Yeah, that actually was a big factor for us. But we enjoyed doing travel, and that's really to any country. She speaks Spanish, so we like going to South American countries, so that's really nice. She lived there and did a study abroad in high school, and then I actually lived in Madagascar for 2 years when I was in high school, and so I speak Malagasy, and so we've just really come to appreciate other cultures and being able to see other ways of life and the way that people live. Since COVID, though, a lot of, it's starting to come back where a lot of those restrictions are being eased up. But for a while there, we actually skipped. We at least like to travel once or twice a year, but during COVID, that kind of stopped for a little bit, and that was we hated that because we always liked to be able to get out and travel, and but just with all the restrictions, it became such a hassle that we're like, no, let's just kind of stick around here. That way, if anything happens, we can just drive home instead of, being stuck in an airport or not being able to get through an airport because of the COVID situation. And so that was kind of a big thing for us, that we're like, well, let's just enjoy the U.S. There's still a lot that we haven't seen. Even having been in Utah for so long, there's still so much that we're like, man, we missed out on all this stuff. And it was kind of cool when we went to Bryce Canyon and down more towards Arizona, when we hit up the Grand Canyon and just all this cool stuff along the way. It was interesting because most of the people we saw were from a foreign country, either from Asia or India or all these cool different places, and they were coming here to see the stuff that was close to us, and we were always trying to go to where they were. And so it's kind of an interesting perspective to see, man, we have a lot still here that we need to see, and then we can always go out and see the rest of the world as well.
A nice chance to explore your backyard.
Yeah.
So what is it about travel? You touched on enjoying like exploring other cultures, and maybe you can elaborate on that, but what is it about travel that you both like?
I really like to feel small. So I really love like big waterfalls or majestic canyons, just something that makes you humble. It makes you realize there's a big, great world out there, and we're such a small part of it. And that's one of my favorite things, my favorite feelings.
For me, it's probably the people and then the food. So
oh, yes.
I'm kind of more of a guy. I enjoy all the different foods and
Me too.
being able to try the different foods and cultures, and then just kind of being a people person. I enjoy being able to hear people's stories and experiences and what they've learned in life, and I just think it's interesting to be able to learn from their perspective and kind of how they see things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those are great points. I mean, travel has a lot to offer. Quick little interruption from the podcast. I just want to tell you all about a cross-country road trip that I'm doing this year, where I would like to meet up with as many van dwellers as possible to film van tours for different media. So if you're interested in getting your van featured, I know you all have done a lot of work and you all have some really cool vans and cool stories. I would love to hear from you and film a short little documentary about you and your van. So let's meet up There's some contact information in the description, and let's link up on the road. I'll see you all there. What are some stories that you have of your van life experience so far? I know you're not full time yet, but it sounds like you've done some trips out. What are some of the kind of most memorable experiences that you've had so far in the van?
We spent Christmas in the van, which was super fun. We have like a lot of Christmas traditions together where we always like do a craft together. And so, we brought the paints with us and we just did our crafts here in the van over Christmas, and we woke up on Christmas morning in the Grand Canyon, which was awesome. So, it just was more fun, I think, than sitting home in my living room. And then out of the van, like I said, my favorite thing is to feel small. So, we went to Horseshoe Bend, which is close to us, and I don't know why I'd never been, but it was just beautiful and magnificent, and no picture I'd ever seen did it justice. And so I was like, okay, I feel like that kind of, I was hooked. Just seeing that, I was like, man, I love this. Like, we need to go see everything around us and far from us, anywhere in the United States. There's so much to see here. That's just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor, did you have anything to add there, or?
I do enjoy the whole experience of it, just being able to get out and see all of the cool places. Like when we were in Sedona, there's just so much to do there and so many different hikes to see and, places to go. And so that's always enjoyable. And I think it's kind of a learning experience for us. There's a lot of things that we're learning, what to do and what not to do, and things that, we hadn't really thought about. Like one of them is one of the places we did park in the Grand Canyon. We found out that you're not allowed to park there because we had parked there, and then we got woke up by a police officer at 2 a.m. Super friendly, and he was super helpful. He didn't give us a ticket or anything, and it was Christmas, so that probably helped. But you definitely learn from some of those experiences of what to do and what not to do, and so you always want to check beforehand whether you can, camp in a place, or if it's off limits, or where you need to park, so that you can avoid getting in trouble like we did. But it's kind of a fun experience to be woken up at 2 a.m. and yeah, definitely a good learning experience.
It was not fun. He was like banging on the back door trying to wake us up, and I was terrified that we were about to get murdered. Like, it was not fun. But I guess, yeah, you're not allowed in the Grand Canyon. Apparently, you're not allowed to park in the lookouts. I won't admit how many times, or if we had parked there several days before, but he came to us on our third day in the Grand Canyon and let us know. But
Well, that leads perfectly into my next question, which is where do you guys park?
I love the bus. I love shuttle buses. I tell everyone for this because our bus has like a cancer institute research center vinyl wrapped around it, so no one knows that people are camping in it. So for us, like, I love to be stealthy because we can park anywhere. We've parked in a lot of neighborhoods that look safe. When we were in Sedona, we just parked almost like right downtown, just off one of the main roads downtown, and just parked on the side of the road, and no one bothers us. No one thinks. I feel like if they knew you were camping in there, the neighbors might be like petty about it, but because people think it's a work shuttle bus and it's not there for very long, we've had no problems.
Yeah, it just kind of depends too. I mean, we've camped at a truck stop, just depending on when you need to stop or when you need to travel. On the way back from Arizona, we did get caught in a snowstorm, and so we just kind of pulled over and parked where all the semis were parked at a truck stop. You have Walmart sometimes that you can park in, depending on if they allow it or not. Some do and some don't.
We've never had a problem though at a Walmart.
Yeah, and so lots of different places, or you're just on a public street. So the nice thing is it's not too big of a bus where you can't park it on a public street. So and as long as you're not leaving it there too long, I don't think most people care at all. So just kind of depends on where you can find a place to park.
So how far, like, I forget, did you mention when you plan on moving into the bus?
Yeah, we plan on moving in at the end of July.
End of July. So there's a whole process of like downsizing, and you must be sort of at the some state of that, and maybe just I would be curious to hear about what that process is like. Are you getting rid of things? Are you thinking about how to minimize your life at all? What's that process like?
I think so. I think at least I personally want to simplify. I want to get rid of some of the junk that we just don't need anymore. So I think it will be a good process to, throw stuff away that we don't need, give things away that are still useful to other people. And then we'll store maybe some things if like we can't bring them in the bus and if they're super important to us. But I can't imagine what those would be yet, just because like I said, we're in school, or I'm in school. So we've kind of known that we were going to leave at some point after school ended anyway. So we don't have a lot of really nice furniture or things that really are worth storing. So we'll probably just be giving a lot away, I think.
Yeah. Our bus is nicer than our apartment, so we're probably, it's fine if we get rid of some of the stuff in the apartment, like some of our furniture, and we're okay with that. We kind of planned on it, and then, long term, who knows where we will end up. So.
And you talked briefly about your employment and your jobs, but how do you plan to make money while living full time in the bus?
Yeah, the nice thing about my job is I do have the option of working remote and, being able to, do what I need to do. And so I can do that wherever I'm at. I do travel a lot, though, for business as well. And so whenever I need to fly somewhere, I can, that's already covered by work. And so whenever we fly out somewhere, we just fly to it. But the rest of the time, my work is really done remote anyways. I'm a sales manager, and so a lot of my team actually doesn't live here anyways. And so my entire team is remote. And so being able to work with them, it doesn't really make a difference where I'm at, as long as I can connect with them. That's kind of the important thing.
And for me, I'm just going to start working at a law firm, and at least at the current state of the world, they're still working remote with COVID. So I don't know if that will last forever, but we figure, we'll travel as much as we can, and we'll try to make it work. And it's remote for now, and as you mentioned earlier, it's nice that the world has gotten used to people working remote. I feel like it's the perfect time to get into van life, to get into bus life, because there's so many options to make money while on the road.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the whole world is changing and making it much easier. I found, like, even where I am here, I live very remotely. I don't so but the internet options now where I am, like I have Starlink, and it's just a game changer, and it's continuing, like the technology and even the infrastructure online is better. I mean, yeah, it's just going to continue to be easier to work remote, obviously. So my question, yeah, I guess, why did you decide that you're going to live full time? Because a lot of people will get a van and just do part-time traveling trips and use it as sort of a vacation vehicle. Why did you decide to go full time instead of just do part-time in the van?
It just worked with the circumstances of our life. So like I mentioned, I'll be graduating soon. So we live in student housing. So we're getting, essentially kicked out of our student housing. And it was just a good time for us. We have a van. So we figured we've loved being in it part-time. It feels like home to us. So why not try it out, for a couple months and see how it goes. And I think it will be great. Like I said, we've really enjoyed it anytime that we've been in it.
Nice. And yeah, one question that I have that I'm going to bring up is just about, like, sort of the reality of van life versus the hashtag van life that you see on Instagram and social media. I would love to hear your opinions on that. You only see a snapshot of these people's lives on social media, and what is sort of maybe some of the differences, or something that you've seen, some of the similarities, some of the differences, just your general thoughts on reality versus the social media of van life.
Like I mentioned, I do think you actually do have to be low maintenance. I feel like, on Instagram or social media, it feels like, oh, they live so luxuriously, but it's like, no, really, like I was peeing outside on the side of the road in the middle of the night when it was 5 degrees outside, and that was not, very fun. So it's like, you have to be low maintenance. You got to be flexible. You got to, even like down to what we eat. For now, like we don't have a stove in here yet. So it's like, I'm eating yogurt we do have a fridge, so we keep yogurt in there. I'm eating yogurt every day, or I'm eating cereal every day, just things that are simple. So I do think you really have to be low maintenance, even though it looks luxurious online.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well talking to couples. I find that couples face different challenges in a van than a solo person does. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a couple in a van, and how do you overcome them?
I don't know. I think for the most part we're pretty chill. But I do think like with such a small space, you are more confined, in here together, and so you have to find ways to be able to work together and cope, with different challenges and not step on each other's feet as much. And there's not really anywhere for you to go if you guys have any differences, and so just being able to know like who you guys are and how you work together, and I think that's probably important. You want to be able to resolve conflict in a good way, and it is a small space, and so if you need if you need space, you can always go somewhere else, and or do whatever you need to do. It's nice when you have different things that I have my own hobbies that I like to do, and so you can always go and do something like that. Like I'm a big frisbee player, and so if I can go find a team to go play with and stuff like that, then that's a way for me to just go and do my own thing and be alone for a while. Or if she wants to go shopping, and she can go shopping for a while or do whatever. We have our own things, but for the most part, I think we're pretty chill and get along really well. And so, 99% of the time, I don't see any challenges with that.
I will say, I think it helps that Connor and I have been married for 5 years. So I feel like, and with COVID, both working home remote, we kind of got used to being with each other all the time. But I also, I feel like we just know what each other needs. So for us, on our trips, like I said, it's hard not to find gyms. But sometimes if, Connor is, I'm getting on Connor's nerves or something, I know he needs to work out, so I can just say, Connor, you've got to find a gym. This is a priority. I know you need to go work out because you haven't done it today and you've just got too much, pimped up inside of you. And I feel like he's the same way with me. He can tell, if something's getting on my nerves, and for him, he knows he just needs to go sit in the front of the bus in the driver's seat and maybe just drive around and let me just be back here on my own, give me some space. I think just maybe knowing that beforehand is helpful, just because we knew how to get along in that way really well. So.
Or knowing when she needs to eat or sleep.
Yes.
Because that's kind of a big one for her. But, I can go do my own thing or read books. I'm a big reader as well.
That's
and so,
true. That's a good one.
that's, we have our ways to kind of, enjoy that. Or she can go work on she likes to work on some of the social media stuff or Instagram stuff. She can kind of do that, and that's kind of her thing. And I don't really do any of that, and so just kind of depends. You have to have your own hobbies, and then you also have to have a lot of shared things that you guys like to do together. And I think that's the big part, is when you enjoy doing things together. I don't think it's very hard to be on the same page and have the same goals and not have issues. But when you don't really have anything in common, I think that's when people kind of have a hard time, because you don't like to do stuff together. And so I think that's kind of a big thing for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different really than any other relationship. You have to be able to read each other and be able to work well together. It's just that you're in this confined space, and that might act as like a bit of a bottleneck or a pressure cooker for some couples. But it sounds like you've had the experience together and been able to take that on without any issues.
Plug for the shuttle bus again. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than some vans. So it's really Connor can go sit in the front of the bus and close the door, and I'm in my own room. You know what I mean? I have my own space if I need it. I think it's just big enough to not feel like you're literally sitting on top of each other all the time.
Yeah, right. That makes a lot of sense. What are some of your personal beliefs that help you kind of bring you up when you're feeling low in life?
So Connor and I both believe in God, and I think that's really a big part of us. And what's really cool actually is we go to church every Sunday too, and we actually have our church on the road. No matter where we go, our church is like a global church. So they have church buildings all around the world. So even while we've been traveling, every Sunday we've been able to find our own church, and it feels comfortable to us. Like, we know what to expect when they're there. It's something familiar, which has been nice to us even while traveling internationally. And I think that we find a lot of peace that way, and that works for us.
I agree with that. I think it's just nice having those. For us, it's those Christian values that, it's also standard that you can kind of hold each other to as well, and it's a standard that you can kind of expect of each other. And so, that just treating each other with kindness and forgiving people when they do make mistakes and things like that. It does make a difference. But she mentioned earlier too, for me personally, working out's a big one for me. I think it's important to work out. I studied in college a lot of psychology, and a lot of people take working out for granted, but it's definitely essential for us and our bodies to be able to feel good. You really need to keep your mind and your body active, and it plays a huge part just in how you feel. And even things like depression or anxiety, like a lot of studies have shown that exercise is a big part in helping people, feel balanced and feel that. And so I definitely notice that in myself, that when I'm not getting that regular exercise in, I start to get a lot more anxious and or depressed or anything like that. And so that's kind of a big part for me in my routine. And then, we kind of mentioned it as well, but going back to just our diet and, some of the things we eat, we try to, in college, we found out that she was hypoglycemic. So we tried to switch to more of a healthy diet that focused on your whole grains and whole wheat and things like that, so that we're starting to eat less processed foods and just more natural as possible. And so I think that also kind of plays a part in your mental health and making sure that you're kind of up. So I feel like we have the things that we notice that make a difference for us.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that we haven't talked about, considering like around van life, that you would like to talk about?
The one thing for me is, I think there's actually a lot of opportunity to serve people, which that might be super random, but like, we found out it was really nice when we were like out on the trails. We've done a trail and then people are asking for directions or how was it, or we like help someone like up a mountain. Like, there's this old guy trying to do one of the hikes, or there's a lot of opportunity to help others with their build. People reach out to me all the time on social media asking like for advice on their build, and I reach out to people all the time asking for advice, and people are very friendly. And like, I just think, this community gives us a lot of opportunity just to help each other, and like, I feel like that makes you very human, and it's like, that's one thing I think should be noted.
So do you plan to be stationary or transient once you move into the van?
Definitely moving around. So that's what we enjoy. That's kind of the nice freedom about it, is being able to go to all these new places and see new things. And so that's really kind of the appeal for us, is to be moving and be doing something.
And I guess you have the community of your church wherever you go, but do you plan on kind of getting involved in the other sort of nomadic community that's out there at all, and have you already to some degree?
I would like to. I see that there's meets all the time, like through social media. Like, I think there's one in Florida soon. I can't remember the name. I think, if we're in the area and I see something going on, I think we definitely will. There's a lot of van lifers in Utah, so we just happen upon them a lot sometimes when we're out on different hiking trails, even around where we live or where we were down south. So yeah, I think we will.
And what have been your sort of your takeaways from meeting some of the other people in the van life community?
Most of the experiences we've had is everyone's friendly and helpful, and we often, since we're newer to it, will have a lot of questions, and we just like to learn from other people and what they've done and how they did it, and that way we can either incorporate that or learn from it. And so that's really something that we try to do. But everyone's super helpful and friendly, even when we have lots of questions. So it's been super nice. And I think you just instantly kind of become part of a community. And so you all have that shared commonality, I guess, with what you're doing. And so usually there's a lot of other things that you guys like to enjoy as well. Usually they like to do hiking or outdoor stuff, and so there's all that you can do.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'd love to, once we are on the road, to meet people to go on hikes with us and to show us, their favorite hikes in the area. Because we haven't got to, we've like met some people out on hikes, but we haven't like intentionally met up with someone to go on a hike, in the community. But I would personally like to find people for that.
Oh yeah, they're out there, and that's what I found as well, is people are super nice, and like you said, Connor, there's the commonality where you can sort of have something to instantly connect about, and then you can kind of get to know somebody from there, and it's a nice common ground to start from.
What's interesting too is that like people that we meet, we're all so different too, but there's always something to unite us, which is, our love of outdoors and exploring, and also traveling, and then our buses and our builds and stuff. So it's been really fascinating to just meet people and like, again, make you feel human, like make you feel like, we're all in this together, even though we have a lot of differences and we come from different backgrounds. And
Totally. Yeah. So what's next for you two?
Well, next thing is just let her finish school. So that's kind of the big thing. And so as soon as she's kind of done there, then, we can head out. But that's really kind of the big next step, I guess, for us.
And where can people follow you?
I guess on my Instagram for now. We may start a bus page at some point, but I'll just announce it on my Instagram. So it's at Love Like Juliet on Instagram, Juliet with 2 T's. And I also have a YouTube channel. I don't know how you find me yet. I just started it yesterday. I think it's also Love Like Juliet bus conversion.
I'll put it in the description as well, so people can find it by clicking below for sure.
Perfect.
Cool. And thanks so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you both today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching and listening. I sure hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed making it. New episodes of this podcast come out every Thursday, so stay tuned for that.